down the hammer and pick up the pencil. You're about to listen to the Savvy Radio Show. Learn from real-life real estate investors, experience revealed with the Savvy Landlord as your host.
Well, good afternoon, good morning, or whenever you're listening to this podcast. You just tuned in to the Savvy Radio Show. I am your host, the Savvy Landlord, and I am excited that you tuned in. And somebody out there sent another question. Yep. Thank you very much. Anyway, says, I recently refinanced 3 of my properties into one loan with this bank, blank. Since then, my loan officer has been putting the pressure on me to move all my checking and savings account over to their bank. In your experience, what are the pros and cons to this? Well, I always ask myself, what's the point? Why are they doing it? Well, here's the thing. These individuals, bank people, why do they want your money? The first thing is the more money that they have deposited in their bank, in general, they're able to loan that out in a factor amount. And I don't know what it is. It could be 10 to 1. If they have a $100,000 in the bank, they can loan out $4,000. I don't know what that term, the exact amount is, the ratio is. It might be 10 to ratio if they have $1,000 in assets. It just all depends. But the point is, why are they asking for that? Well, they're asking for that. A, it makes them look good. Number 2, it's safe for them, meaning if there is ever a problem with your loan, guess what they can do? They can stretch their little hand into your bank account and bam, take it out. So you're thinking this is a, company loan. So when you start putting money in that bank, keep in mind they're have access to that bank. Now, there's a flip side to this. So be prepared, investor. Every banker is going to always ask you, move deposits into my bank. And that's just good favor. Now, if you're starting out as a real estate investor, and I teach this, I coach this to some of my students, you might want to open up a CD account. They can't touch the CD if you don't collateralize it with anything. If you just put a CD in, you can. It's good favor. I believe in you, banker. $10,000, $20,000, $100,000, or $50,000. Say if you have $100,000, you might want to spread that over 4 banks at 25. But the goal for you to put the money in a CD is not for investment purposes. It is to show that you have favor for that bank. It just looks like you believe in that bank and what they're doing. So you have to ask the question, what's their motivation? It's crazy that they're asking you, they're asking you for their checking savings account. It's like, and the bank that this individual said is a top tier bank. They're a $1 billion bank, okay? And so they also have quota. And so they're trying to twist your arm to put money in the bank. That is not the banker you want to be having a relationship with. Here's the main concern. Number 1, I just said earlier that they could dip their hand in there and grab it out, right? Because when you sign a loan, you're personally guaranteeing it. Well, that means all of your assets are collateralized in some form or fashion. So just so you know about that. I just got jammed up by my children. So, I forgot where I was, dadgummit. But the thing, here's the main thing. Another thing is, I learned this from an amazing banker. And, my personality is like, I always go all in. And what I learned from this banker, he's like, you don't want to, if you work at that bank, and he was speaking on his side. I asked him one day, why don't you have accounts in this bank? And he turned around and said, I don't have accounts because I don't want them to see what I am doing. When you have an account in that bank, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing like opening up your account and seeing all your transactions. Maybe you use Postmates too much, or maybe you're going down real fast and red flags pop up. Okay, so you want to mind your own business. Rich Dad Poor Dad. Yep. Mind your own business. You should spread the wealth. But I do have bank accounts, and I opened bank accounts to appease certain bankers, to build a relationship. And I may even, I opened up a $10,000 account 10 years ago just to build a relationship with that banker. He needed deposits. He was brand new. And I was like, and I needed, capital reserves. And so I parked that money at that bank and moved on down the road. So, ask yourself, what's their motivation and why? We already know they're bankers. No offense, no disrespect to you out there, because I know some of you bankers out there listen to this. They're out for themselves. They got to. That's their job. That's what they're paid to do, is to protect their assets, and so that's their motivation. There's pros and cons. You want to build relationships. Now, one time I was doing a very, very large loan. I'm talking, I don't know how many zeros, but it is the most I've ever borrowed. And this bank tried to stiff arm me and to move all my deposits over there. Not my deposits, my operational accounts, because at that time we were operating several businesses and a lot of transactions were flowing through there. And I entertained this idea. I was like, okay, what do you offer that I'm already not receiving, or maybe this is saving me money? And what I realized, I compared apple to apples, conveniency. Can you online wire? Can I log into the bank account and click wire money to a closing? Can I do that with your bank? And it came down to that the bank that I already use my operational accounts, I had thousands of vendors in there, meaning bill pay. And it would be ridiculous for me to move to another bank and start my bill pay all over again. That's the situation. So as a company, as a businessman, as an entrepreneur, you got to look at what's your time worth. Is it really worth me to move all of my operational banking to another banking to build a relationship? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls around the world, it does not matter. Or it could help you, it can give you favor, but you shouldn't be operating your business based on what a banker thinks you should be or should not doing. So be prepared. Now you've listened to this podcast, you know exactly what to do the next time a banker asks you about depositing money. You say, that's a really good idea. Let me see if I can shift some money around. Oh, that's a really good idea. Maybe I can put a CD in. And I've had bankers ask me several times, and then finally after the fifth or sixth time, I did deposit a CD in that bank, and it was a minimal, amount, but I did show favor. A loan that I just received not too long ago that was pretty substantial, and I pulled out capital for capital reserves, and I put a large CD in that bank, and my intention was to wait for an opportunity for a deal to come by, and I can buy it with cash. I'm bulking up for the market turn. So, be creative in what you're doing. It is your decision. You are the entrepreneur. Remember that you're in control. So you don't want their eyes dipping into your cookie jar, and you want to keep them arm's length away. So it all depends on the relationship. All right. So hopefully that was a good question. Thank you, party people, for asking that question. If you got another question, I'll try to answer it as best I can. If you want to answer, email me what's the ratio for a bank for their asset column, what they can loan out, and what their deposits can they loan out. That'd be helpful because I don't have on top knowledge of that. Anyway, you tuned into the Savvy Radio Show. Let me tell you something coming up in April 20th, 21st. I'm so juicy because I'm still working on it. Got two superstar speakers coming. Bob Dressman from Ohio. He is the IRA ninja. This dude, have you ever heard the word inherited IRA? Oh, let me change your world. And then just IRA madness. And then, man, one of my great friends, Brad Grayson from Indiana, the real deal landlord. He's coming, so make sure you get your tickets. Go to investorweekend.com. It is April 20th. You don't want to miss it.
Thanks for listening to the Savvy Radio Show. Glide online and listen to our other motivating episodes at savvyradioshow.com. Connect on Twitter @LandlordBook and always be buying assets.